My name is Kate O'Neill, and I'll be presenting on the topic of minimum wage. The article that I analyzed was called "Raise the Minimum Wage" by Matt Miller from the Washington Post. And just to kind of summarize his points, he started off by arguing that our current minimum wage of $7.25 is the federal. He argued that that wage was outdated. 40 years ago in the 60s, if you would apply that minimum wage to today's economy with inflation and everything, it should be $10.47. So he's saying that our wage of $7.25 is way too low and that the president needs to act on this and increase the federal minimum wage. He points out that just by raising the wage to $9 an hour would be a $5,000 annual raise for over 30 million workers, and this would add $25 billion to gross domestic profit each year. But his main point on why the minimum wage should be raised is to get rid of poverty in America. There's tons of reasons why this would not work, but it can most simply be rebutted with the law of demand. We all know that the law of demand says that as the price of something increases, the quantity demanded decreases. So if they were to increase the price of labor, the quantity demanded would decrease, which would overall increase the unemployment rates, and then more poverty would be created. So it's kind of backwards on his part thinking-wise. Minimum wage is also viewed as a price floor. So the government mandates the labor and saying that it can't be sold for less than $7.25 an hour. And whenever there's a price floor, that means there's a surplus. So if they raise the minimum wage, then that's going to create more of a surplus, and more people who are willing and able to work won't be able to. Also, kind of black market is created when minimum wage increases because workers have more of an ability to work under the table without paying taxes to the government. So if minimum wage should be increased, then the ability for people to work under the table for lower wages without paying taxes would be increased, and government would lose tax money in that way. But the main flaw with his reasoning is that the majority of people living under the poverty line are unemployed. So if you were to raise the minimum wage, that's not affecting the majority of people under the poverty line because they don't have jobs. So wages are doing nothing to help them. The only thing that raising the minimum wage would do is create more unemployment, which would then lead to more people being under the poverty line. So it's just an endless cycle that's not going to help anything. Minimum wage is really going to affect us, the teenagers who are coming out of college, young adults who need the entry-level position to gain experience and to build their resume. We're not going to be able to find jobs because it's going to be taken by people with more experience who don't want to do their job that they're trained to do because it's harder than a minimum wage job when you can get the same amount of money if they raise the minimum wage. So a domino effect is going to be created. We're not going to be able to get the minimum wage jobs to gain experience. So later in life, we're not going to have work experience to get the career that we deserve to have from going to college and everything, but we're not going to have experience. And another issue is that for us, our wage really doesn't matter. We just need it to build our resume, to kind of climb the corporate ladder. Our parents, for the most part, are buying our food. They're helping us financially. We don't need a livable salary right now, so we don't need the minimum wage to be raised. Like, yeah, it's nice to have a little extra spending money, but it's not crucial for us to survive. And the final problem with raising the minimum wage would be it creates a lack of incentive to seek higher education or to pursue further training. So why would you spend the money to come to school if you could easily get an unskilled job and get paid just as much? This creates derived demand, so like demand for college professors would go down because demand for college education is going down. So it's just all a really bad cycle to get into. At the end of Miller's article, he finally explained where this increase in wages is coming from. He said it should be split up between employers, taxpayers, and consumers. So something that's going to cut our jobs is going to end up costing us more. If minimum wage is increased, our country will definitely take a hit economically, and it definitely does not make sense for the president to raise the minimum wage.